Well, let's just get into it, man. It's for one, it's been a fun week. It's been a good week for you guys. You guys released Blame. You guys streamed that on Noise. Blame is out. The stop motion video released. You've released 2 new singles so far, which is really cool. It's really cool because, I mean, you just released your debut album last year, and we already have new music from Charming Liars. I mean, what's this year been like for you guys?
This has definitely been a very eventful year.
Yeah.
In terms of music and touring, and also just, I think it's been obviously a pretty eventful year for kind of everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these 2 new singles, it was, we like you mentioned, we released the debut record, and after we did that, it was an incredible high to do that and to, release, our all 3 of us. That was, our first big piece of music. Everybody up to that point had done EPs and things like that, but never a full length.
Right.
And we were thinking like, okay, well, what next? And we were sitting on top of a lot of material that we had already accumulated writing, and we thought, you know what? Why don't we just do a song a month? Why don't we just? And it's been a little crazy trying to meet that demand on ourselves, but it's been worth it, doing it that way. And so Blame, Golden State, all out now, and the reception's been good.
And for one, the songs are just good. That's probably why. But I wanted to ask, man. I mean, looking back at Thought, Flesh, and Bone, it's only been out for a year. I mean, looking back now that it's been out, you've had time to kind of breathe since it's been out. Looking back at the album, how do you feel about that material now, and what stands out to you about it?
Yeah, when I look back at it now, I mean, obviously I love it. It's like a child. I put so much time and effort into creating it. But it's interesting because people could play that record and 1 or 2 times and it's still fresh. But for us, we've got to play a lot of that material every night. It can definitely wear on you, but honestly, it hasn't had that effect. It's still really exciting to play some of those songs, and it's still fun, obviously, to bring some of the new stuff into the set too. But I look back on it just like I look back on all of our music, or just all the music I've ever written. It's kind of like a time capsule,
Sure.
It has all these different memories and all these different of making it and inspirations and where I was at in my life when we were making it. And I was a very different. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I was a very different person.
Yep.
A year and a half ago when we were recording it to where I am now, and I think it kind of just show. Our music's kind of a representation of who we are and where we're going, and how we've changed and all that stuff. So I'm excited. I'm proud that it was the first record.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to releasing more and always looking back and going, oh yeah, that's where it started,
Yeah, and listening to the record, I mean, it's like you said, it's a great record. The songs are all really good. I mean, Like a Drug is great, Insomnia, Spiral Out, but these new songs, they feel bigger. It's got the same, foundation and core, obviously it's you guys, but you guys expanded. It just has a more, they seem bigger for some reason, lyrically and musically. I mean,
Yeah, that's what we were going for, is how do we grow the sound and how do we kind of just reach for that next level. We obviously didn't want to, release Stop Session Going twice.
Yeah.
Wanted to do something a little different, and it was definitely some uncomfortable growing pains getting to where we are now, but it was worth it,
Golden State, just the chorus of Golden State, the lyrics that you guys use, everyone wants to live in Golden State. She'll make you a believer. Will you stand and deliver? She'll tear you apart. It's a very personal, maybe not personal, but very blunt lyrical chorus there. I mean, where did that come from? What made you go in that direction with that song? Because that can be seen as, I know you've talked about, it's talks a lot about people wanting to go to California to become famous and kind of what happens when that happens, but it can also be seen as metaphorically as a relationship at the same time, or an unhealthy person in your life. I mean, it can be interpreted a lot of different ways. What made you go in that direction with it?
Yeah, it's definitely like you mentioned, it's very ambiguous. It can kind of embody many different outcomes there, but the main the main thing is, I grew up in Southern California, and
sure.
It's where I live now, and I love it. It's some people would say they have a love-hate relationship with California. I just have a love relationship. I love it. It's but I also know that it offers a lot of different experiences to a lot of different people. Some people move here and they have a terrible time. Some people move here and they have they strike gold.
Yeah.
It's been happening like that since the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
It's I think that this place, offers something for everybody, but it also offers, it also obviously has a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of ways you can get caught up in the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where that lyric came from. Will you stand up and deliver, or will she tear you apart? Are you gonna make the right moves, or even sometimes the right moves can lead to the wrong circumstances. So it really is like a board game sometimes. I've been very fortunate. I've been very lucky, but I unfortunately know some musical friends that have moved out here, or even people who are in other career paths that made a bad turn, or maybe they were misled or something, and bad things have happened. So that's where it kind of came from. But I also know that lyrically, a lot of like even the verses and stuff like that, those were kind of just actually. It's interesting. They were kind of just the first pass with just kind of like the first lyrics that we laid down. I didn't write anything before. I just heard the music and just kind of recorded those.
Right.
So I guess subconsciously, the song wanted to be written. So, that's kind of where the lyrics kind of span from there.
Gotcha. And then with Blame, that song those lyrics, they seem very, very personal in a lot of ways. I mean, when you have a song like Blame, where it's so deep and there's a lot of emotion there, is it hard to perform those songs when you do you go back to the original place of those lyrics, not necessarily just with Blame, but with anything? Or are you able to separate yourself from, or is it liberating, kind of validating for you, knowing that you got away from those situations when you're performing? I mean, it's different for everybody.
Yeah, for me, it's like kind of going back to the time capsule thing. It's really,
sure.
It's very interesting when we play any of our songs live, because, of course, I'm in the moment of the room and the people there. We're doing it together, having this experience. But I'm definitely sometimes get these flashes of where I was when I wrote it, what inspired it. And I think that's what makes it really exciting for me, because I could, I have that ability to kind of time travel a little bit in my mind and experience those experiences, good or bad. But even the bad ones now are all pretty much good, because I've taken some kind of lesson from them. So it's just kind of a reminder of what not to do or what to do. But a song like Blame, it's a very. I was definitely listening to a lot of Springsteen around that time. He's just kind of the man of when it comes to like really capturing, a moment, especially of adolescence, and just kind of, being, anything kind of like that. So, some of those lyrics are autobiographical. I remember the one that really stuck out to me, and I think it's been kind of relatable to a lot of people, is where I talk about a cigarette being in between my lips, and not really enjoying the taste, but just wanted you to talk to me. And that kind of really sings at home for me.
Yes.
You know, when I was very impressionable, like a lot of us are when we're young, and I remember buying a pack of American Spirits and kind of coughing my way through the pack because I just didn't really enjoy it.
Right.
But I wanted to impress a girl. You know, I wanted to be that James Dean trope, that kind of character.
Yeah.
And he saw right through it. It's actually I was with my girlfriend at the time, and this was back in high school when that lyric kind of not when I wrote it, but when it happened. And then a couple of years later, I just kind of was writing on a piece of paper, and that lyric came about. And that's where it kind of becomes fun, because I can relive those moments, you know.
And it's amazing how, you know, not necessarily that lyric is that's so vivid, but there's some lyrics that, you know, where you write them and you write them and you're done, and you may not necessarily think anything of it. Sometimes it's just maybe a filler lyric, but then that's the one that speaks to somebody the most, and you're like, that one? Okay, cool. You know, and then, you know, or it may be something that really spoke to you, but you're like, yeah, well, it was so personal to me. I mean, it's that important, but then it's amazing how many people can relate to something like that, or pull their own experiences from something similar to that. I mean, that's the best thing about music to me, is so many people can relate in so many different ways to one specific thing. It's just amazing. I mean,
yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. It's that relatability.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, I mean, for a younger band like yourselves, the debut out last year, a lot of younger bands make their living from touring. You know, and that's where so many bands, you know, get the majority of their income from. With COVID-19 going on right now, how is that affecting, you know, Charming Liars? I know you guys were supposed to go overseas with Palais Royale at some point, I think in August or something, and a lot of tours are getting canceled now. But like, how is this pandemic affecting you guys as a band?
Well, it was interesting for us, and I think a lot of other bands that were actually out on the road when this whole thing happened. You know, we kind of got like a very, we kind of got a front seat to the whole thing cracking down and happening when we were in Europe.
Yeah, that was recent.
The tour started, and things, you know, we had heard things, you know, as much as anybody else. You know, this is before it became a full-blown pandemic. You know, things in Italy obviously weren't great.
Yeah.
And you know, in a few other countries, but life is going on the way it normally does. You know, the shows were great. The people, you know, the people didn't seem to be worried too much. And, you know, neither were we really, because it, you know, wasn't on every news station at that time. But then eventually, you know, the shows started getting canceled, rescheduled, and then we were scrambling just to get home because they were closing down whole countries, you know, locking them down, and we were driving towards France. We were in Hungary, and we were driving to France. We were flying out of there, and literally every couple, you know, miles there was just police in hazmat suits on the highway pulling people over, checking. It was really like, I mean, I don't know about you, Reggie, but this is my first pandemic. So I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was really weird. And then, you know, we literally got on the last flight out of Charles de Gaulle Airport, and every flight after us was canceled.
Wow.
So we really just kind of barely made it home. And then after that, we had a little bit of time to reflect, and yeah, it's been weird because we had a lot of tour dates planned for this year. Obviously, some with Palais, and you know, and those hopefully happen, and then we had some with some other bands too that we haven't announced yet. And you know, we're still waiting to see where the coin falls on that. So it's unfortunate, and a lot of bands are kind of in that same boat where we're just kind of like, this is kind of how we live, you know, how we make a living, like you mentioned, is touring. So we're just trying to figure out how to kind of survive. But you know, I'm sure it's all gonna work out the way it's supposed to. But yeah, it's been a weird time for sure.
Yeah, I've heard stories from Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers was in Peru, and he got literally the last flight, and as soon as he got on the flight, 20 minutes later, they shut down the airport, and so he was almost stuck. Yeah. I think I can't remember, maybe Dave Mustaine or somebody's daughter was in South America and almost got stranded there. It's scary. Like you said, we can't say we've been through it, but nobody knows what to do. I was photographing at the college basketball tournament the second the NBA shut down, and we're well, we're not coming back tomorrow. It's
no March Madness either.
Yeah, nobody knows. Yeah, and festivals. We all have to find ways to stay productive, and I know you guys are doing stuff online on Facebook Q&As, and you did a live stream I think yesterday or recently.
That was really fun.
Yeah, so there's ways to stay productive, but with new singles constantly releasing, are we looking at a full length album release this year to follow up last year, or are we looking mainly just singles here and there?
Well, the thing is unfortunately, I guess I should start with the fortunate side. Is we do plan on releasing, like I mentioned, kind of a song every month.
Yeah.
And just and hopefully, the goal was we had cooked up all of these cool ideas for music videos, but a lot of these music videos obviously have to be put on hold or altered and amended because we can't get a crew together, or we can't. We're barely even hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, it's a time of adapting. But as far as music goes, I think it's safe to predict a new single every month.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing is, and I've always been kind of a glass half full kind of guy. Maybe that's because I grew up in Southern California. I don't know.
Right.
But this whole thing, this whole virus, this whole pandemic, it has a lot of ugly sides to it. There's a lot of terrible things that have been brought forth because of it. But there's also a beautiful silver lining, in my opinion, that one, going through this whole thing together is going to bring us through this whole thing stronger. But two, it allows a lot of artists and a lot of musicians this amazing time to bond with their audience and to kind of, like I said, just go through it together. And also, people have a little more free time than they usually do. So, like you said, it's a good time to keep people entertained and keep people busy. So a new song a month is probably a good way to do it. That way, you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of artists are doing that. So maybe each month you're getting a new song from X, Y, and Z. And then, of course, Charming Live.
Right.
And that makes the months a little more bearable.
It really does.
So, yeah, and I think that if you're a band or you're an artist and you release your first single the year after this whole thing goes down, you would have missed out on an incredible time to just bond with fans and things like that. I think right now, although it's a terrible time to be a touring artist, it's a great time to be connecting with fans because they have your attention.
Absolutely.
Or you have their attention, rather. But they have our attention, too. So, but as far as a new album goes, well, I totally took that. It's a long time to answer that, sorry. But as far as a new album goes, I think that's definitely at the end of the tunnel. Once we get a few more singles in, I think a new album, we definitely have enough material, but it's just when and strategically what's the best way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. The good thing is, we have time. We got time to figure it out, or
time on our side for what?
Exactly. Yeah, I saw something that said, I saw a picture or a graphic online the other day that said, in times like these, that checklist of things that you said you never had time to do, if you don't get them done, it's not because you don't have time. You just didn't really want to do it, So
exactly. There's going to be so many novels at the end of this whole thing.
Oh my God, I know. And that's a good thing is everybody's turning to art, music, books, movies, just like the arts to get them through all of this stuff.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean
I didn't even think about it that way. That's
the best part about it, man.